I am so excited to have this camera in my hand today. This camera is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, not to be confused with the Pocket 1 or the Pocket 2. This camera just came out in 2023. Matter of fact, it is super hard to get your hands on this camera right now because it is on back order. However, it is worth the wait. We know that it's going to be the camera for content creators as far as vloggers and things like that. However, I'm wondering how well this camera will work in the barber shop to record barber tutorials. And that's why I picked it up. As a YouTube barber who does barber tutorials, I am booked up pretty much for the year. And whenever you're booked back to back, it makes it so difficult to grab your camera and to set it all up and all that stuff. I usually use the Sony a7S III and all my camera gear, and it is very challenging to set it up between haircuts because of the time constraints. But with this camera, I believe that it's just gonna be a game changer. It's gonna make it easy. So I'm wondering if this may be the best camera for you as a content creator or a YouTube barber content creator. So let me talk to you a little bit about this camera. This camera, it is a gimbal stabilized camera. It's got its own built-in gimbal. It's also so small and compact that it fits in your pocket. And that's why they call it the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, right? It has so many different features on here. The built-in microphones for this thing are amazing. As you can see, I'm using the microphone that comes with the Creator Combo Kit. I encourage anyone who wants to get this camera, don't just get the camera. The camera itself is about $517, I believe, in the US. However, if you get the Creator Combo Kit, you get an extended battery, you get a little stand, you get the microphone, and this microphone is the DJI Microphone 2. Now, this doesn't come with a receiver. The receiver is actually built into the camera itself. So as soon as I turn this on, man, it's ready to record. And I'll show you in just a moment what it sounds like without the mic as well. But as you can tell, the sound quality from this thing is pretty nice. Right now I have the AC blowing a little bit because I am here in Tampa, Florida, and it gets a little warm. However, the video quality out of this thing is amazing as well. And the reason I actually picked this up, I began to see different YouTubers drop videos on the Pocket 3. And as I begin to look at just the quality of the image that comes out of this thing, it reminded me a lot of how I color grade and with my Sony a7S III or the specific LUT I use. So that's a lot of, things that I have to do in post to make sure my colors are right and everything else. However, this right here, right out the camera, without any color grade, without a special LUT, looks amazing. It gives me that look that I kind of go for. And some may say, well, the blacks look a little too black or the shadows look a little bit crushed. But that's the look I go for. Some people like it a little brighter, and you can adjust the EV and all that good stuff in camera. However, I like mine to be a little bit darker. The color science that comes out of this thing, in my opinion, looks great. I mean, when it comes to skin tones and things like that, and you put it in auto white balance, it just seems to lock on really nice and keep a good white balance wherever you're going as you're vlogging. So that's something I'm excited about as well. I do want you to know that there is an auto mode, and I'll show you that in just a second. And that basically lets the camera do everything. It chooses your exposure and your white balance and just everything. And there again, it is actually pretty good. Right now I'm recording in normal mode. That's the normal picture profile for this camera, and that's in the pro mode. So whenever you select pro mode instead of auto mode, then you have the ability to manually set whatever you want to set. And it's a phenomenal camera. Also, in this video, I'm going to show you some footage that comes from a studio setup where I use this in my studio. Also, I'm going to show you some footage where I used it as a webcam. Now I will say, when it comes to the webcam, that this camera is 4K. You can do 4K, 24 frames a second, 25, 30, 60, 120, all that in 4K. It's phenomenal. However, when you plug it up and use it as a webcam, it's 1080p and it still looks good. Also, it comes with an app. Matter of fact, I have the app set up on my iPhone and my iPad. Let me just hit this button 3 times on the joystick and it'll turn the camera around so you can see what I'm looking at to monitor this thing. All right, so there's my iPad and it's basically set up with the app on it. Even though the screen on this camera is phenomenal, I mean, I can see everything clearly, crisp and sharp, and that's one of the reasons so many people that had the Pocket 1 or the Pocket 2 are so excited about the Pocket 3, because it has a little flip screen on it. You can record in landscape mode or portrait mode for reels and things like that. But man, I'm really loving the quality of this thing. What I love about this also, not only does it have auto mode and then that normal picture profile, but it also has a dlog. So whenever I record with my Sony a7S III, I always record in log footage, which gives it that flat grayish white look. And then you come in and color grade it and add the colors and the looks and LUTs that you want. You can do the same thing with this as well. However, there again, I don't even know that I'll have to, because it has great color coming straight out of it. But let me go ahead and show you what it looks like in auto mode, and then I'll show you what it looks like in dlog. All right, so now we have it in automatic mode, which just means everything is fully automatic. It means that you have a automatic white balance. It'll choose the white balance for you, which this thing's really good about choosing the correct white balance. However, sometimes for me, it just gets a little bit too bright. And like right now, I think it looks good. However, I do like my shadows a little bit darker, you know, and I like the blacks blacker. So for me, it is a little bit, you know, overexposed in my opinion. Some people would say, man, that looks phenomenal. There again, I'm looking at the screen. It looks good here. If I get out in the sun a little bit more, I think that it might expose it just a little bit brighter than I like it. But I'm pretty sure that I could just go into the settings, or excuse me, in post, and bring my shadows down just a little bit, and I think it would be great. One thing that I do know is that dlog is 10-bit, which gives you more dynamic range, right? So you can just have a lot more to work with when you're color grading and you're putting your LUT on. And normal mode is actually 10-bit as well. I'm not sure if when it's recording in automatic mode, if it's 8-bit or 10-bit. I want to say it might be 8-bit, which means you don't have a whole lot of room to work with your colors, you know, as far as dynamic range and things like that. But either way, it looks really good and it's really easy to use, man. You just flip the thing on and the mic syncs up and everything's good to go, and you're in fully automatic mode. Matter of fact, let me drive just a little bit, let the exposure change some, and see what we see. I like mine a little bit darker. So like my shirt, for example, I would like it a little blacker, but it doesn't do a bad job at all. I think for most people, they would be like, man, I love the image that is coming out of this phone, or excuse me, out of this camera, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And what's so cool is right now I have face tracking on. So even while I'm driving and looking at the road, I don't even have to worry. I know this camera's got me locked in. It'll keep me in the middle of the screen. Even if I record from over here, I'm not looking at the screen at all, but I know that it's recording me, which is dope, right? All right, so right now I am recording in dlog. Now, as you can see, dlog looks really flat and washed out looking, and that's because it gives you the most dynamic range. Hold on, let me set face tracking real quick. Boom, there we are. So anyways, this gives you the most dynamic range. However, I'm not too familiar with the settings for dlog out of this camera. Right now I have the EV set on -0.3, -0.3, and I have the exposure in manual mode. But what's so cool about this camera is a lot of times when you're doing manual exposure, you can set it at like 100, 200, 400, 800, things like that. However, this one gives you the option in manual mode to set it where you can set it from like 50 to 100, 50 to 200, 50 to 400, 50 to 800, 1600, all those things. And it gives you almost like a manual automatic mode where it'll keep your exposure between 50 and 400 if that's what you have it set to. So I think that'll give you a little bit more wiggle room, especially whenever you're vlogging, you're going around and your exposure's changing. I think it'll help out. So there again, this is in dlog. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my color grade on it and put my LUT in. How does that look? I'm sure it looks a whole lot better. Hopefully, if everything was exposed correctly, then it doesn't look too bad. So that is one of the challenges though with recording in dlog. It may be overexposed or it may be underexposed, and it's very hard to tell. It also has HLG mode. I don't record in HLG, so I didn't even bother messing with it. Maybe some of you guys like that. However, so now let's go back to the studio, and I want to show you what it looks like as a studio camera and the kind of quality that you can get. All right, so I changed back over to the normal color profile and I turned the microphone off. So what you're hearing right now, let me turn my AC off just to make sure you don't hear any wind blowing into the mics. But it does have a front mic and it has, I think, side mics and a back mic, or it might just be front and back. But either way, as you can tell, man, the quality of audio just in the internal mic alone is really good. And what's dope is you can use the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 as a webcam as well. Right now I'm looking at my computer. Man, it looks like a clean, beautiful image. I will say it's not 4K, but it is 1080p for the webcam. Everything else is 4K. But yeah, man, it does a great job. So I'm excited about that. Also, right now I have the DJI Mic 1 connected to it. Like I said, it has a USB-C input, so you can go ahead and plug the receiver into that and then speak into this mic and get really good quality audio as well. So I took this camera into the barber shop setting and I wanted to get some footage to see how good the quality looked inside the barber shop with the bright lights. I was kind of concerned about overexposure. However, there again, you can set the exposure value on the camera. But one of the challenges that we have in the barber shop when recording haircut tutorials is the focus. Now this does have continual focus and it has single focus, and that's something I was really hoping to see, because when you're vlogging, continual focus is what you want, so that way it constantly stays tracked onto your face. It's focusing on the object in front of the camera. However, whenever you're cutting in the barber shop and you're doing a haircut tutorial, oftentimes the focus will lock on the head, but whenever you put the clipper up to the head or your hand in front of the head, it'll lock onto your hand or the clipper while you're cutting hair, which could be a huge problem, right? Because then the haircut is out of focus and it's just focus on the clipper itself. A lot of people do that, and it's because they have it on continual focus. So I was hoping with everything in me that this camera had a single focus that we could actually use it to lock onto the head. And thankfully it does.
Listen up here, man. Yo, my boy got me back. Yo, my wife said I was looking crazy. What about you? See the vibes. Yeah. My boy got me right.
All right, now that I've shown you some things that this camera can do, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you like the video, make sure you leave it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, man. It doesn't hurt anything. But yeah, if you like it or you think that it would be of value to you, just let me know about it in the comment below. If you're a barber and you are wanting to start your own YouTube channel, or you're wanting to level up your reels and IG content, man, I think this is it. Once again, you can record in landscape mode. You can record in portrait mode for the reels. I mean, I don't think you can beat it, man. It's a great quality camera and it's just easy to use. So until next time, God bless you guys. Peace. I'm out of here.